and today we are making our very first batch of homemade sauerkraut. Let's get started. We have 6,227 grams of cabbage. Now, this is the maths and science part, I guess, which isn't my forte. So my husband has done the calculations for me just to double check that I was correct. And I've been told that we need 2.5% salt for our cabbage. So we've weighed the cabbage out, which is 6,227 grams, and 2.5% of that is 152 grams of salt. So we've got our salt here, and also regarding salt, you also want salt that has no iodine in it or any caking agencies in it. So we've given our cabbages a quick wash and we've just cut off the tip of the stalk, and now we are going to start preparing the cabbage. Okay, so I'm going to cut down through the centre. Lovely, I love cabbage. And then cut these into quarters. I'm also going to remove the hard core part of the cabbage as well. So let's get that out. There we go, so I'm just removing the centre part and then we'll cut it nice and fine. We've been wanting to do it for a while because we've heard about all the health benefits of sauerkraut. It's supposed to be fantastic for gut health. It has all the probiotics in it. And if I can have something for good gut health, then I'm all up for that because I suffer with bad stomach, and anything that could possibly help, I'm down for that. So we are giving this a go. I'm going to start chopping. Also, we've ordered our jars. These are 5-litre glass jars. These came yesterday as well. So the only thing that hasn't arrived yet, I did order a big metal bowl to put everything in, but that hasn't come yet. So we are going to make do with a saucepan to get everything, all the cabbage salted. Hopefully it will be big enough. Just cutting this as fine as I can. And then I will add this to the saucepan as I go, just to make some space. That's our first cabbage done, and I've shredded that as fine as I can get it. So I'm just going to transfer this to my large saucepan. I've seen people do it different ways when it comes to the salting. Some people put all of the cabbage into their pot and then just add the salt on top and work it through. And then other people I've seen, they'll put a layer of cabbage in, a little bit of salt, and then keep repeating. So I think I'm going to try that method. So I'm going to do one cabbage at a time, salt it, and then keep repeating. I don't think I'm going to fit too much into this saucepan, if I'm honest with you. I think I might only fit 2 or 3 in it. Maybe the saucepan, maybe the pot that I ordered, the big bowl, will arrive today, but I've got lots to do. It's a busy day and I wanted to get started. So we may not be able to do all of the cabbages today. Maybe I'll have to wait for the big bowl to come to do the rest, but that's okay because this cabbage is good and it's going to last a good long while. So let's go grab the salt. Okay, so there's our first cabbage, and I'm just going to add a layer of salt to this one. So the salt is supposed to draw out the water from the cabbage, and that is going to create the brine for creating the sauerkraut. I think that's correct, what I'm saying. So yeah, we've added our first layer of salt and my hands are nice and clean. So I'm just going to give this a quick mix together. Some people have said they can't stand the smell of sauerkraut when it's being made and fermenting. And this is smelling strong already, so we'll have to see. We might have to keep it out in the garage, I'm not sure. So that's our first layer. And now I'm going to wipe my hands quickly and then start shredding the next cabbage. So cabbage number 2. So that's our second one done. So we're going to add this on top of our first one. And then we'll repeat the same process of adding another layer of salt. The smell is getting stronger, but it's still okay at the minute. So let's shake in some more salt. And then I'm just going to give it a quick toss around in there. Try and get it coated on all of the shredded cabbage. I think I can fit another one in here at least. Maybe one and then a smaller one. So I'm gonna get the rest of these done to see how much I can fit in here, and then I'll be back. All of the cabbages have been shredded and I managed to fit them between these 3 bowls and saucepan. So this is the first one that we filled up. And already, look guys, this was overflowing and it's only been about 10 minutes and already it has reduced in size. And if I push on it, it is going down even further. So I can't see because it's so compact in there, but I'm guessing there's going to be some water in that one because I've looked at the base of the glass bowl and there is water forming already underneath. And like I said, that's been about 10 minutes. This has only been like 5 minutes. So it is doing its job already. So we are excited. Okay, the video that I've been watching says that we need to check in on this about every 30 minutes and give it a good massage and get all the salt moving and get everything turned over. So this has all just had a good massage. So we're going to leave this for 30 minutes and then come back and see what it's like. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. Now it's time to check on our cabbage and give it another massage. And look at this one, guys. This one was overflowing and you can see that it has reduced down a lot more. I can push that down to almost just over halfway. So the salt is doing its job. So let's give this a mix through. My hands have had a good wash again. And I'm just going to try and get to the bottom and move it all up. Oh, I can see, I will show you guys, there is a lot of water in the bottom of this one. I'll just give it a quick mix and then I'll give you a better look. Okay, so I've been giving these a good massage and I can really feel the difference in texture. It is getting a lot softer and it is reducing in size. So the last bowl I've done doesn't have as much liquid as the first 2, but they are definitely the cabbage is definitely getting softer. So I've given all 3 a real good massage. I've been squeezing them, which the person in the video that I watched said to do. And then we are going to come back every half an hour to do the same, and the person recommended to do it 4 times. So this is our first massage and we shall set the timer for another 30 minutes. But first I want to show you the liquid from the first one. Okay, so I hope you can see this because the lighting, but if I pull this back, can you see all of that water? There is quite a lot of water in there now. Have a look, Tyler.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Quite a lot, isn't there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that much would have come out of it, but that's after the first half an hour. So we'll check back in half an hour's time. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that in the bowl, but there is so much liquid coming out now. See it underneath there? All in there. I think you can see it. But But yeah, it is definitely working. So I've done this one. This one has had a good massage, and now I'm going on to the other ones. Oh wow, there is so much water in this one. This was the first lot that we did. This was the first couple of cabbages that we shredded, and there is so much liquid in this one. And again, it is so soft. I'm just giving it a good squeeze like the video suggested that we watched. And just keep turning it every half an hour. Move on to the next one. This was the last couple of cabbages that we shredded. And so this one isn't quite as soft as the others, but it is getting there. And again, there is liquid in the bottom, but not as much as the other two. But I don't expect it to have quite as much because this was done last. So I'm just going to give this a good squeeze. And then we'll set the timer for another 30 minutes. Okay, so yes, it has reduced to less than half now. It's gone right down, and see, all of that water is coming to the top when I press. So because these have reduced, I think I'm going to try and transfer them all into this pot, and then they can all ferment in there until it's ready to transfer to the container. So it all fitted in, both bowls are empty, and it is all now back in this large saucepan. So I'm just going to continue with the third massage, and then we'll come back in half an hour for the final one. Okay, so this is the fourth and final massage. The water has really risen up, so let's get our clean hands in and give it its final massage. Now I have seen some people online, they like to add some spices to theirs, like caraway seeds or garlic, but because this is the first time we're making it, I just wanted to keep it plain and see what the flavour was like, and then for next time maybe we'll experiment with some flavours. But for now this is just plain original sauerkraut. So the cabbage is really nice and soft now, and there is lots and lots of water. I will show you in a minute how much there is. But I just want to give this a real good massage, and then I will get the jar and we will transfer it together. So this is how much water there is. Look, there is lots. So I push it down and it is all submerged. Look at that. Okay, let's get the jar and we'll get this all transferred. Okay, so we've got our 5 litre glass jar, and this is being thoroughly cleaned with hot soapy water and rinsed and dried. So I'm going to start transferring this into our jar. Much bit smaller pieces. Try not to spill any. I think I'm going to be here for a little while doing this, so I don't want to spill any of those juices if I can help it. Okay, so we've just about filled this 5 litre jar, and there's just a few pieces in the brine left. So I'm just going to put those in, and I've grabbed myself, I don't even really what to call it. I'm going to call it my sauerkraut masher. So I've got this, and in the video they say you need to push it down and compact it as much as you can, because you want that salty brine to come up over the top. I have obviously got all the brine that's in there as well, but they said to compact this down because you don't want any air bubbles or air pockets in the sauerkraut mixture. This is a good arm workout. So all of the water is coming to the top. This has been fun actually, making this. People have said that it's quite common. You actually get some, maybe some mould on top but they say that that's okay. You can just spoon that bit out. I'm hoping we won't get any, but we shall see. So I'm really pushing this down as hard as I can, and you can see all of this liquid that is coming to the top. So I think as long as all the cabbage is submerged under the brine, then hopefully, fingers crossed, it should go good and there won't be any mould. I think that is pretty good. I've compacted that down as much as I can. So I'm just going to grab a funnel to put in here, and then I'm going to pour the rest of this salty brine in. Okay, so let's pour this in. A few bits of cabbage left in there. I want to get all of it out. There is a few bits of cabbage in here that are now stuck, but that is all the brine. And then just a bit of that cabbage. Get it all in. There we go. So I think I'm just going to plunge it again. I don't know if I need to, but I'm going to. You can see it is completely submerged, but I've got a few stragglers stuck on the bottle there, so I want to get all of them out if I can. Push them in. My hands are clean, so I'm just going to get those bits with my hand. That bit's on the outside actually. There we go. So all the bits are off the side that got stuck. I'm just going to carry on pushing this down a little bit more. And everything, from what I can see, is now submerged under the brine. And that is what we're after, I think. This is exciting. Okay, so that I think is pretty much done. Now it's time just to get our lid. So let me go and grab that. Before we add our cork and our fermentation lock, what we've had to do is we've had some boiled water from the kettle. It's cooled down now, but we've filled this up about halfway with some water. Now what the water's supposed to do apparently is it's supposed to stop any bad mould getting inside, and then any carbon dioxide and pressure that gets released from here, it all gets released out through this little airlock. So I've probably said a lot of things wrong, but like I said, this is all brand new to me and I am learning as I go. So the water is in there, fingers crossed this goes in properly and it does its job of what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to get a real good push on that because I don't want any air to get in around the rim. I think that is in nice and tight. There we go. It is done. Our cork is in, our fermentation airlock is in, it's got its water in there, which is supposed to stop any mould spores from entering, because we don't want that, because we don't want this to go mouldy, and it's going to help release all the carbon dioxide and the air, the gas that builds up during the fermentation process. So there we go. Done. So now that all of this is done, all the work is done, the video that I was watching said that you need to check on it every day while it is fermenting, because sometimes some of the cabbage will float up to the top and you need to submerge it back down under your salty brine. So this is going to go in the kitchen on the side, out of direct sunlight, somewhere where it's not too hot. And like I said, people have said they like to leave it for anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks, but the majority of people I've seen have said 2 weeks. So I think we're aiming for 2 weeks. But like I said, we are going to check on this every day because it's going to be in the kitchen, so we'll be able to keep a good eye on it. So if any bits of the cabbage do float to the top, we're going to have to submerge them back down under the brine because we don't want any of the cabbage to go mouldy. So there we have it. Our sauerkraut is in the first stage of its fermentation, and we are so excited to try it for the first time. Okay, so this is the morning after, and as you can see, the cabbage has risen above the brine. So I'm going to take the lid off and give it a push back down underneath. You can really smell the cabbage now I've taken the lid off. So I'm just going to push it all back down underneath the brine. See all those bubbles coming up? I think that is a good sign. So I'm just going to get this all underneath. I see there is a couple of gaps as well that really need pushing down because it says not to have any air pockets. This is smelling funky. I see what people mean now about the smell of it, but we're going to persevere with it. It's just got a few bits of cabbage that's stuck to the sides, so I'm just going to get those down. You can see now that the cabbage has been pushed down and the water's come back up. So everything has been pushed back down, I think. A little bit more on this side. Squeaky, those cabbage getting squashed, you can hear the squeak. Really pushing that down because I don't want the cabbage to keep coming up to the top. There we go. I think that is looking good. The brine is come right back up to the top. Like the colour of the brine is like a pinky light brown, but I'm putting that down to the salt because we could only find pink Himalayan salt that had no iodine in. So that is why I think it is the colour it is. I hope it's still okay. I mean, I've not read anything that you can't use pink Himalayan salt. I'm sure we will find out soon enough. So there we go, I've given that a real good push down and now the water is on top again. So I'm going to put the lid back on and we'll check up on this again tomorrow. Good morning. So this is day 4 of fermentation of our sauerkraut. And as you can see, it is still rising up really, really high. So I'm having to push this down a couple times a day to get it back under. So this is how it's come up overnight. So it's going frothy. I'm taking that as a good sign. It is smelling really good. So I've got we've called this our sauerkraut masher, and I'm going to start pushing this back down under all of that brine. You see all those bubbles coming up? And it's, oh, I really do hope that this is going to work, guys, because I've been putting off doing it for so long and I really want it to work. So I'm just going to give this a good push back under all of that brine. I'm taking all of these bubbles as a good sign that it is fermenting. I'm just going to put you down while I finish pushing all this down because it's hard with one hand. There we go, I've given it a real good push down and you can see just it was all the way up to here, guys, and now I've pushed it and it is down to here. A few bits floating there, but you can just see how much it rose over the night. So we've given that a good push down and we've got any bits, oh there's one bit there, any straggler bits we need to push back down under. But yeah, this is day 4 and so far, fingers crossed, there has been no sign of any mould growing in there, and it is bubbling, which I'm taking as a good sign that it's fermenting and it is smelling good. So there we go, day 4. We'll check back in a day or so with you. But I will be keeping an eye on this every day. Okay, so it has been exactly 1 week today since we made our first ever batch of sauerkraut, and here it is. It has been 2 days now that the cabbage has stayed at this level. Since the day that we made it, it kept rising up to the very top. And so twice a day we've been having to get we called it our sauerkraut plunger, didn't we? The wooden plunger. We've been having to push the cabbage back down below the salty brine twice a day. And yeah, so it's been 2 days now. It has stayed at this level. It hasn't rose up. So I'm assuming that means that the fermentation has come to an end. I'm not too sure. So I thought I would open it up and have a little taste test to see what it's like. So let's get this open. Smell. Oh, it smells good. It kind of reminds me of like a Chinese food in some way, if that makes sense. It's smelling really good. So clean fork going in here, and I'm just going to take a little bit out and have a taste test. Let's have a go. Hopefully it's done, because I'd like to have this for tea tonight. I've never actually tried sauerkraut, so this whole new thing is a brand new experience from making it to trying it. And I actually really like it. There's like a slight tang to it, which I really like. It's not as strong as, say if you had a pickled onion that's been in a jar of pickle, it's not as strong a tang as that. It's quite subtle, but this has only been fermenting for a week. We've been lucky, there has been no mould or anything that has grown on top. I think we had a really successful first time fermenting some cabbage, turning it into sauerkraut. I'm really, really happy with how it's turned out. I'll give you guys a closer look. So there we go. As you can see, there is no signs of any mould or any build-up of anything in there. It did froth up loads for the first I think the first 5 days. It was really, really frothy. And then the last 2 days, all of that calmed down. And after we pushed it down, it stayed down to that level, because it was coming all the way up to the top rim. So it was having to push it down below the brine. But yeah, I think this is a success, guys. That tastes really good. It's salty, it's soft, but it still has a slight crunch to it. Some people ferment it for 2 weeks, I think sometimes longer, but I think that this is perfect. I'm going to put another lid onto this, the proper lid that goes onto it, and put that in the fridge. Okay, so I've got the original lid for this jar. I've just given it a wash, so let's get this back on. And this is going to go into the fridge until later. And then I think we'll probably just be helping ourselves for a little bit every day. I know my husband definitely will be. I don't think my youngest will be, because he is a fussy eater who can't handle textures, but I think everybody else will be having a bit of this every day, because it is supposed to be really, really good for you. So yeah, a success, I think. This has been exactly 1 week today since we started this whole mission of making our very first sauerkraut. And I think it went with no problems at all, which is fantastic, especially for the first time trying it. I think if it had gone wrong, I may have been put off doing it or attempting to do it again. This has definitely given me the confidence to try some more things out, do some more new fermentation things in the kitchen. I'll have to try something else. You'll have to let me know in the comments, guys. Anything else that you think would be a good thing for me to ferment as a first timer at this. This is all brand new, and I want to learn and try as many new things in the kitchen as I can. I will be eating some of this for dinner tonight. I've got some baked potatoes in the oven, and they're going to be all nice and crispy on the outside, fluffy in the middle, and I think I'll be topping it with some grated cheese, some of this sauerkraut, some salad, some pickled beetroot, and some of my delicious homemade kefir cheese that I made yesterday. If you're interested in that, I will link it below in the description box if you're interested in homemade cheese. It was also my first time making homemade cheese yesterday as well, and that turned out, I'm glad to say, fantastic also, and it tastes delicious. So I think the kefir cheese with this and the baked potato is going to be a delicious dinner for everybody. So once again, thanks very much for joining me in the kitchen. I hope you've enjoyed me trying something new, and I hope it maybe has encouraged you to try something new too. So have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys again soon. Bye.